What's going on, duelists? It's your boy Nick, bringing you today on the channel a combos and test hands video for my Fire King deck profile for the post Fire King structure deck release, which at time of recording just came out last week. For those of you new to the channel, welcome. My name is Nick. We do Yu-Gi-Oh content mainly focused around rogue and casual decks alike. If that's the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh that you're interested in, then I highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more of my uploads. We are currently working our way up to 1,500 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. So if you don't want to miss out on this really unique content that you really aren't going to be seeing anywhere else, definitely want to subscribe, like the video, because even though this is Fire Kings, and a lot of people are playing it, this particular list is a bit, running some spicy stuff that I haven't seen any other list running. Maybe it's Cope, maybe it's the secret sauce. I mean, I guess you just got to watch and find out. But with that being said, Fire Kings. YCS Bologna was just this past weekend, and there were actually several Fire King deck lists that made top 64, which is a huge feat considering that was a almost 2,500 player YCS. A huge event. So the fact that there was several, not one, but several Fire King deck lists that made top cut is absolutely an amazing achievement. Props, and I tip my hat to those players who were able to do that. Mind you, this deck is only going to get better post Phantom Nightmare. Phantom Nightmare isn't even out yet. The structure deck just released last week, and you got people already topping YCSs with it. Like, that's how you know this deck is fire. No pun intended. But I'm here to show you guys the combos, and like I said, maybe some test hands if you have time. But we're going to start things off with the single one-card combo using the brand new legendary Fire King Ponyx. Now, a lot of you might know this combo, but, again, some people aren't always glued to their phones or, in the know. So I'm just here to show you guys what a single copy of Ponyx can actually do for you. So we're going to start with normal summon Ponyx. Activate Ponyx effect on summon, searches you a Fire King spell or trap. That'll grab us a copy of Sanctuary. We will activate Sanctuary. Sanctuary will then allow us to place our Fire King Island face up in our field zone, which is obviously very beneficial. Now that we have access to our Fire King Island, we will go Fire King Island effect, destroying our Ponyx, to then search for a Fire King monster, of which will be our brand new copy of the Sacred Fire King Garunix. Now, since a fire monster was destroyed, Garunix will trigger in the hand to special summon itself, in which we will then be able to use its effect on summon to destroy a Fire Tri-type monster, Tri-type being a Fire Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast, from our hand, face-up field, or our deck. This card lets you destroy monsters from your deck, which is huge. Like, that is really, really powerful. So we'll be destroying our copy of the Fire King Avatar Barong from our deck. And then we're going to pass turn right here. Now, this looks very unassuming. Your opponent isn't really going to feel threatened by this, but there's a lot of hidden value here, and you'll see why. Because on the next standby phase, as soon as they draw for their turn and they proceed from draw phase to standby, we are going to trigger both of our effects here in the graveyard of Ponyx. Since it was destroyed last turn by a card effect, it will add itself back to our hand. And then since Barong was destroyed last turn by a card effect, he will allow us to search any Fire King card from the deck to our hand, of which we will be grabbing the brand new Fire King High Avatar Kirin. Now this is where things get a little spicy, because it's the opponent's turn now. Kirin's a quick effect, which at any point during the main phase, we are able to destroy one other fire we control or have in our hand. So we can destroy our Ponyx that's in our hand to special summon the Kirin. And now that sets us up extremely nicely for our Fire King Sanctuary, where if the opponent special summons a monster, we can then make a Fire Xyz monster from our extra deck using monsters we control as material. So that will allow us to get into our copy of Garunix Eternity, Hyang of the Fire Kings, the brand new Xyz monster out of the structure. And when this card's Xyz summoned, it destroys all other monsters on the field. So it's effectively a dark hole on legs. So the one card Ponyx line effectively gets you to a dark hole-like effect on the opponent's turn, but better because not only do you nuke the board, but you also get to keep the giant 3,000 flaming chicken on your side of the field. In addition to that, if this card is destroyed, it floats into Fire Kings from the graveyard up to the number of material that it had. So this card can snowball extremely hard if the opponent doesn't deal with it properly. Because let's say it stays on board, like the board wipe pretty much ended their turn and they pass. We'll draw for our next turn, but now we can just go Fire King Island to pop our Xyz to then search another Fire King, and then since the Xyz is destroyed, it can just special summon Fire Kings from grave, and then we just kind of snowball at that point. So the 1-card Ponix line is very, very powerful in my opinion. I don't think enough people actually give it credit. Ponix is a strong little chicken. So yeah, so that is the 1-card Ponix line. Now, in my particular list, again, I'm going to leave a link to the description below for my version of this deck profile. If you haven't watched that, I highly encourage you to do so. So you can, I go in a little more in depth into the cards that I'm running in this particular list. But I'm going to show you guys what I can do with 1 Ponix and a Manium Torid. Now, Torid is a spicy tech choice that I'm choosing to play in this list. Maybe it's Cope, or maybe not. I mean, you guys can let me know that in the comments. But Torid is a fire tuner monster that when destroyed by battle or card effect floats into another Manium card, which can also be another copy of itself. So I actually play 2 copies of Torid in this deck because it gives us access to a Baronne de Fleur, since it's a level 2 tuner. Torid plus Kirin or Torid plus the new Garunix get us into a free Baronne de Fleur, basically, which is really strong because not only is it a much needed Omni Negate for this deck, but Baronne allows us to pop cards on the field. Keep in mind, that could be our own cards, which, again, Fire Kings love it when you blow up their stuff. So I just think that that's kind of cool. Maybe it's Cope, but like I said, you guys can decide that on your own. I think for the time being, that it's fine to play something like this. But until we get Phantom Nightmare, when we get more like the Snake Eye stuff and we get like Bonfire out of the Maze of Bologna set, I think, maybe the Torid and the Baronne can be cut for other things. But for the time being, I think the Torid and Baronne line is honestly pretty strong in my opinion, and I'll explain why. Because like I said, it gives access to this deck for a much needed negation. So normal summon Ponix is pretty much going to start off the way the 1-card Ponix line did. We're going to normal summon our Ponix. That will grab us the Sanctuary. Activate Sanctuary. Sanctuary will then place Fire King Island. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go Fire King Island. We're going to actually pop the Torid to then search out the Sacred Garunix. And now we get the chain block here. We're going to go Torid Chainlink 1, Sacred Garunix Chainlink 2. So Garunix will special itself from the hand. And then the Torid will summon out another copy of itself from the deck, which is obviously very strong. Sorry for the glare. But now at this point what we can do is we can go Garunix plus Torid. And we can Synchro Summon into our Baronne de Fleur. Now we have an Omni Negate. The Baronne hits the board as on the 4th summon, so we can't even be nibbed yet at this point. And that's just a 2-card line. Now what we can do is we can go Baronne. Oh, hello. Sorry. One thing I did forget was to trigger use the effect of Sacred Garunix, guys. Don't forget to do that. It allows you to pop a Fire Tri-type. So obviously we would have popped our Baronne just like we did in our first combo. My apologies for that. Make sure, you go Torid, summon Torid, but then Garunix will pop Baronne. Then you make your Baronne. Please don't forget that, obviously. Like I did. But, yeah, now what we can do is, now that we've resolved all of our effects, we can go Baronne to use its effect to pop our own Ponix. And then we'll go end phase, pass our turn. We have an Omni Negate ready to go to stop our opponent. And on the standby phase, we're going to get Ponix back to hand since it was destroyed. And then Baronne will search us a Kirin. And it's pretty much just like the first combo that we had with just Ponix by itself. But the addition is that we have access to Baronne de Fleur as well. So it's an Omni Negate that we didn't have. And we can still do the same line we did in the first combo, where we ultimately get into our, big fire chicken to nuke the board. But like I said, we do have the addition of Baronne here to help insulate our lines a little bit better. So I think that's pretty cool. Again, that requires is just the Baronne and the extra, plus the 2 Manium Torid in the main. And honestly, it fits in pretty well. And there's a lot of things you can do with Torid. Like, you don't have to pop it with Island. You could pop Torid with cards like Kirin to still trigger the effect. You can pop Torid with Arvada's effect as well to trigger there's a lot of different ways you can get Torid in this deck. You can even search it off of the graveyard effect of Hida as well, which is very strong. So I think playing the Manium Torid is pretty cute in my opinion. Like I said, once Phantom Nightmare comes out, you can probably cut that package for something better. But I think for the time being, so far this is the only Fire King list I've seen that's actually playing Baronne de Fleur, because I'm pretty sure I'm the only list that can actually make it. At least from what I've seen. You know, chime down in the comments below if you've seen someone else testing with Torid, but like I said, I like to try different stuff to see what works and what doesn't, and so far I've been feeling like Torid's been a pretty good card. So moving on, I want to show you guys the 1.5 card Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils combo, and I call it 1.5 card because you just need Wanted and any discard. The discard honestly doesn't matter. You just need something to pitch off of it. So we are going to go ahead and just, you know, have a random blank here. Now, obviously, if you want to play this deck competitively, I think having the Wanted cards is pretty much a must. I don't see a world where you can play this deck viably competitively without Wanted. Yes, you can substitute it with the Dogmatica package by playing the Dear Servant. I've also seen variants where people are playing the Tri Brigades as well. Now, while those versions are great, don't get me wrong, I think you can actually go to locals or even a regional with maybe Tri Brigade Fire King or Dogmatica Fire King and see a lot of success with it. But if you are trying to take this to the highest levels of play, ultimately the Diabell Star package is pretty much going to be needed. Especially once we get the support we're waiting on in Phantom Nightmare, the Diabell line only gets way, way better after that. So at that point, it'll start, just becoming a better engine to run than Dogmatic or a Tri Brigade, in my opinion. Yes, I'm well aware that the Diabell cards are expensive, but again, unfortunately, there really isn't anything we can do about that. Hopefully, Konami reprints these cards soon, but Agov went crazy, man. Like, there's so many cards in Age of Overlord that are just nuts. But getting off topic here, let me just show you guys what this 1.5 card combo looks like with just a single Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils plus any discard. Excuse me while I drink some water. But anyway, we're going to activate Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. That's going to grab us a copy of Diabell Star the Black Witch. Very powerful card, obviously. Wanted will go to the graveyard, and then now what we're going to do is the discard in our hand will be used to pitch to summon our copy of Witch, which is obviously very strong. Witch on summon will use her effect to set a Sinful Spoils spell trap directly from our deck to our side of the field, which will be our copy of the original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye. We will set that to our spell trap zone, and then we will go ahead and activate it, pitching our Diabell for cost. This will allow us to special summon a 1 level 1 fire monster from our deck or our hand. Now, instead of going for Ponix, we're actually going to go for our copy of Snake Eye Ash in this particular instance. Then on summon, Ash will trigger to search ourselves the copy of Ponix to our hand. Now at this point we will normal summon our Ponix effect to search for Sanctuary. We'll activate the Sanctuary. Sanctuary will place Fire King Island. Then we'll go Island effect, popping the Ponix to search ourselves a Fire King monster. That will be our Sacred Garunix. Since a fire was destroyed, Garunix will trigger, summoning itself. Activate Garunix effect to destroy a fire, which will be a copy of our Baronne again. Baronne is just a nice one-of to keep blowing up because it gives you advantage on the next standby phase. Now what we can do here is we can actually go Snake Eye Ash, using its effect, sending itself in Sanctuary. Now this seems crazy, but hear me out. I think getting rid of the Sanctuary in this particular case, the payoff is worth it in my opinion, and I'll explain why. We're going to go ahead and use Ash to summon out the Snake Eye Flamberge Dragon from our main deck. Very, very powerful, obviously. And now that we have Flamberge on the field, we can just take the Flamberge and the Garunix, link them off. Keep in mind, all we started with was just one copy of Wanted and any discard. We're going to make a copy of Sunlight Wolf. Hopefully you guys can see that there. Now, since the Flamberge was sent from the field to the graveyard, he can trigger his graveyard effect to special summon 2 level 1 fire monsters from your grave, which will be the Ash and will be the Ponix. That will trigger our Sunlight Wolf effect to take a fire monster from the graveyard and add it back to our hand. We will be adding back our Flamberge Dragon back to our hand. And now with this, the Ash and the Ponix, we'll just go ahead and link them off. We can go into anything really. We can go SP. We can go IP as well. Let's do IP just to show you guys what that line looks like. and we're going to pass. Now, again, this looks extremely unassuming. All we're ending on is a sunlight and an IP, right? We're going to go end phase, make sure we don't have any triggers. We don't. But now, oh, well, excuse me. Hold on. Before we go end phase, don't forget to use your graveyard effect of Wanted, banishing itself, and then taking your original Sinful Spoils, placing it on the bottom of your deck, and then make sure you get that free draw off of it, obviously. Which is very strong, and then we drew Island. Again, the draw doesn't matter, it's just a free plus anyway. But now, on the opponent's turn, after they draw for turn, remember that our Baronne was destroyed by the effect of our Garunix on our turn, so Baronne will trigger to search, and we will be searching for our copy of the Kirin. Now again, this looks extremely wild, but look at the line you're going to get off of this. So on the opponent's turn, as a quick effect, you can use Kirin, popping your Flamberge that's in the hand to special itself. Now that's going to trigger the graveyard effect of Flamberge to summon out the Ash and the Ponix, but since a fire was destroyed, you're also going to trigger the Sacred Garunix Engrave as well. So you're going to special the Ash and the Ponix off the Flamberge effect, and then you're going to summon out Garunix by his own effect, since a fire was destroyed, and then you're going to pick your chain links, you know, as you so see fit. We can do like Chainlink 1 Ash, Chainlink 2 Ponix, Chainlink 3 Garunix, Chainlink 4 IP. So obviously we'll use the IP here, using herself, the Ash, the Ponix, and the Garunix, because why not? That will make us a Appaloosa, for example, for 4 materials. Then, off of the Ponix, we're going to search our copy of Skyburn. Then off the Ash, we'll just grab another Ponix from our deck to our hand. And then off of the Sacred Garunix, we can just destroy a Fire Monster, which will just be our Arvada from the deck. And then Arvada will trigger. And the Sunlight Wolf will trigger as well. Sunlight Wolf, we can actually just go ahead and add back our Flamberge again. And then Arvada will go ahead and revive our Baronne. Its effects are negated, and then it's destroyed during the end phase. But you can kind of see how insane a single Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils plus a discard was. That was the only 2 cards we started with, and look at the board we're able to make on the opponent's turn. An Apple for 4, Sunlight Wolf, constantly just recurring resources. And then, you know, we just have a stacked hand full of advantage, another Ponix ready to go for next turn. Plus, we still have Flamberge again for our turn 2, which we can just keep using to then just spam the board and then go for really insane link pushes. But those are the combos that I wanted to show you guys. Obviously, they're very, very strong, and this deck has a lot of potential, especially post-Phantom Nightmare. It's only going to get better when that set does release. So if you haven't picked up your Fire King structures yet, you should definitely be doing so, because there's almost no reason not to, especially if you even think that this is a deck you want to play moving forward. You definitely want to, you know, make sure you have everything you're going to need before all the cards start to spike. So with the combos out of the way, let's go ahead and shuffle up the deck real fast, and we will do a test hand before we wrap things up here. I just wanted to show you guys, you know, more or less what the deck plays like. I'm going to just pile shuffle really, really fast live on camera, so you guys don't accuse me of trying to cheat or stack the deck and give myself, you know, better draws than, you know, what you would normally be getting in this deck. I pride myself on being as real as possible on this channel. I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't do any crazy clickbait titles, you know, with surprise Pikachu face looking thumbnails. Like, I'm about as real as it gets when it comes to content creation in Yu-Gi-Oh! So hopefully you guys appreciate just, you know, the raw realism of the channel, and, you know, just the fact that I'm able to do all this pretty much off the cuff. So went ahead, shuffled, cut. We're going to start this off as a going first hand. We got DD Crow, Ponix, Ring Bali, Impermanence, and another DD Crow. Now, assuming we're going first, this hand is just okay. It's not great, but it's not bad either. I mean, if this hand was going second, it would probably be better because we opened with 3 hand traps. But regardless, we're playing this like we're going to go first. Either way, we still have the combo anyway. So we're going to go ahead and normal summon Ponix. Ponix effect to search. Now, even if this does get shut down, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Like, we can probably just link this off, make a link Kuribo, for example, and then set imperm pass, and we have pretty much 3 hand traps in our hand to kind of stifle the opponent on their turn, and then we'll just try again on the crackback. So, you know, even if the Ponix does get negated here, it's not, I mean, it's going to suck, obviously, but it's not the end of the world. This deck does have a pretty good grind game, so unless the opponent plans on OTKing us through 3 hand traps, which is a pretty tall order for a lot of decks, I'm almost positive we'll be getting another turn. So anyway, assuming that this does resolve, we are going to just be grabbing the Fire King Sanctuary off of our Ponix. We'll then activate the Sanctuary, which will then allow us to place our Fire King Island face up in our field zone. Now we're going to go Island Effect, pop the Ponix to search out Garunix. Because the fire was destroyed, Garunix will special itself, and then we'll go Garunix Effect to destroy a fire tri-type from our hand, face up field, or our deck. We'll get rid of the Baronne here by destroying it from the deck. And we will go ahead. How do we want to do this, actually? We'll set Impermanence. And then we'll pretty much pass our turn. They'll obviously draw for turn. And then in the standby phase, we're going to trigger the Baronne. That'll search us our copy of Kirin. And then the Ponix will trigger since it was destroyed. And that'll add itself back to our hand. So now, assuming the Ponix 1-card line resolved, we pretty much have access to our Field Nuke, our Xyz Garunix, plus 3 hand traps. So we have Imperm plus double DD Crow. And when we resolve the Kirin in the hand, we'll also be able to trigger the Rimbali effect as well, since a fire will be destroyed at that point. And Rimbali gives us a spell trap negate as well, in addition to everything else we're going to have. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, this deck doesn't really end on anything too insane. Like, it looks very unassuming, but it has so much disruption that it can provide, plus insane amounts of follow-up. It just keeps going every single turn. And that's one of the things that I appreciate most about this particular deck. So I might actually have to hit you guys with another combos and test hands possibly later in the week for this deck. But that's just, you know, we're going to wrap it up here. I just wanted to give you guys a little taste of what the deck can do. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the combos and the test hand. Maybe you learned something. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of me running the Manium Torid stuff. If you think it's even worth it or not. I think having access to Baronne in any deck is obviously really good. But I can definitely see a world where once Phantom Nightmare is released, you probably don't need to run, you know, the Manium stuff and Baronne. But yeah, like I said, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll catch you in the next video. Let me know down in the comments below if you want to see another combo and test hand for this. And also, make sure you check out the deck profile. Link in the description below. But with that being said, this is Nick, hitting that end phase. We'll catch you next week, or next video, when we revisit the Fire King Island.